Alright guys, I'm trying out this YouTube Live. I never actually tried this yet. Guess we'll see how it goes. We got lights, camera, there we go, lights, little camera, little back. Came in today, so last night I was here until about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11. And I was painting a little TDI that I'm working on. And I had brought the Synchro in because the gas pedal was giving me grief. So I brought the Synchro and I parked it actually just back a little bit. And in between coats of paint on the little TDI that I was working on the gas pedal on the Synchro. The gas pedal just kind of went floppy on me. Turns out that the two rivets at the base of the pedal had disconnected. And so I was working on that. Actually got that mostly knocked out, but I was missing the correct rivets for it. And so I just left it sitting right here. And apparently I left the driver's window down. Finished up my paint job, and I peeled out of here. And then this happened. Let me show you right here on this hose. See that split? This hose, this POS hose, developed a bubble right there and then split. It was late. I forgot to shut the water off. And so this hose was blasting straight up and right through my driver's door window. So I walk in this morning. I got here about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I open the door and I hear like high pressure. I didn't know if it was water, air. It was just really weird sound. I come in and I immediately see that the hose is blasting. I looked like past the front of the Syncro, but it was actually going right through the driver's window. And grabbed the shop vac, started sucking water and everything out of it. There was actually a few puddles up on the dash. I got that all kind of sorted out and cleaned up. And then I've had the doors open all day, just letting it air out. I came back about an hour ago, and I just turned the ignition on. Didn't start the van, but I just moved it forward a couple of feet so that I could get this new project in here. This little 13 window. We'll get to that in a minute. But I pushed the Syncro forward, shut it off, and then I'm actually on the phone with my buddy Dave, and we're talking, and I start hearing all these weird noises. Sounded like I was like the Syncro giving me a distress call or something. It was just this weird buzzing and clicking and humming, all coming from like the fuse block area of the dash. And so I like hang up the phone with Dave. I'm like, I gotta call you back, man. I got something going on with the Syncro. Hung up on him. I hurried and slid the seat forward and disconnected the negative terminal on the battery. And now I'm just crossing my fingers that there's not something major wrong with this thing. I mean, honestly, I have no idea how long the water was on this. It could have, I mean, who knows, even if it was an hour or so. I mean, it was putting a lot of water out. And so the Syncro just got a bath today. The whole dash area completely soaked. I had standing water up on top of the dash. I had water up inside the instrument panel there. The seat's still soaked. I've got a little heater going in here right now, and Stacy's bringing me a box fan. We're going to set a box fan up in it, and I'm just crossing my fingers that this thing is not damaged, because that's going to suck really bad if the water did some major damage there. So any thoughts or ideas you guys have on other things I should do besides, you know, leaving this thing disconnected for a day or two and just letting it dry out? I'm not going to leave that heater on overnight. I'll probably put the fans in there overnight. I've just got the heater in there for right now. With my luck today, I left that heater in there. This whole thing can just be burned to the ground by the time I get here tomorrow. So that was how I started my day, with the Syncro being water damaged. Then I went in, like I say, I was working pretty late last night on this little TDI that I really needed to get done. I sprayed this car apart. It was collision damage on the right rear corner. And so I had the bumper off. Really, to do it right, you got to pull it off. And I pulled the diffuser, pulled the lenses out. And then to get a nice wrap on the paint into the jam, I pulled the door off. Because the way this weather for this car, I had to actually call the dealer. There is no tag anywhere on this car for a paint code, but the dealer was able to give me a code off of the VIN. Called it into the paint store. There's no variance on it, so I figured it was just standard. But if you look right here, I don't know if you can see that. I started putting this thing together this morning. I pulled the masking last night. The paint looked a little off. I painted this door on a stand. I had very little room to blend, so I didn't blend much there. Look at the difference on that paint. Yeah, just so. Needless to say, I'm getting ready to tear the TDI down. I'm going to pull the door back off. They did a profit on it today. I think that's what they still call it, where they read it with a camera, and they came up with the exact code that they gave me already. So tomorrow, we're going to pull the cover to this mirror off, take it in, we're going to try to tint it and come up with a color, because right now, everything, even the chips, like we pulled the chips, and the chips match this perfectly, but the paint that's actually on the car, this darker color, we can't even get any chips that are even close to it. So I got this thing that is driving me nuts, and that was how the second part of my morning went, was finding out that, yeah, I get to respray the TDI. I did get it over to my buddy Flavio at the tint shop. Got the windows tinted, so they're looking good. But man, I feel so bad for guy that owns this. Name's Billy. I feel horrible that I don't have this thing done for him yet. And so that's how the second part of my day went, was finding out that, hey, you get to respray the TDI. So right now, the best part of the day was going and picking up this bad boy. Like, the only thing bad that happened on the trip to get this was the window regulator on the new shop truck here, Uncle Skeeter's shop truck, fell down on me. So I got to tear that apart right now and get that window regulator fixed. But we went and picked up this little 13 window walkthrough. Now this is actually a consignment that I'm doing. This bus is going to be for sale. A friend of mine, Aaron, actually bought this a few years ago. He's got this one, and then he's also got a bay window. And he's moving. He's taking off to Europe, actually. And so he called me up and said, hey, I need you to come get my buses, and we got to get rid of them. So we've got this little 13 window, and obviously I'll get some really detailed photos of it up here in the upcoming days. We'll put a video together. Kind of a cool bus. I mean, 13 window, and I don't know if I mentioned already, but it's a walkthrough bus, which walkthroughs are my favorite. My first bus right over here, the Rusty Deluxe. The Rusty Deluxe here, this was my first bus. I've actually owned this bus now, right there, 22 years. Next year I will have owned this bus half my life. And I love walkthroughs. You know, with a walkthrough bus, you don't have the spare tire behind you. I honestly have never got a tape measure out and measured it all, but it just seems to me like you sit farther back and there's just more room in a walkthrough. And maybe it's all in my imagination. I need to get a tape measure out one of these days and actually measure it. But the walkthroughs, you can, you know, your passenger can get up, cruise through the middle, get into the back. The walkthroughs are great buses, and there's not very many of them out there. Seems to be very uncommon. I'm not going to use the word rare, because the word rare is just overused in the VW scene these days, but it's very uncommon to see walkthroughs. 13 window, I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the roof on this thing. The roof's got a little bit of damage. It's been kind of cratered in at one point. I wouldn't be surprised if this bus ends up with one of the fancy new 21 window clips from Wolfsburg West. It'd be kind of a shame because, like I say, 13 windows are becoming less and less common with these roof clips that they've got out these days. And it'd be cool to just see it left to 13, but I mean, hey, once it's sold, the new owner can do whatever they want with it. This bus came out of Oklahoma, if I remember right. Here's a little more damage on the back. Looks like something actually just kind of fell down across the roof and, you know, just kind of dented it in, maybe ended up over on the driver's front corner. A little rusty on the back here. Now, if we get the light just right, can you guys see what that says right there? It's got a kind of some ghosting there, some old logos, old school bus writing in the original paint. I don't know the backstory on this bus. Like I say, it came out of Oklahoma. It was a driver a couple of years ago. Aaron's a pretty busy guy and hasn't driven it a lot in the last couple of years. So we got to go through and do a few little things on it. I think it needs a master. I think it, you know, probably just fuel lines, carburetor, little stuff. He actually had this bus shipped to Oklahoma, or excuse me, shipped from Oklahoma to Salt Lake. Then he drove down to Salt Lake and he drove this bus back from Salt Lake. So it was a solid driver. It will be again with a little bit of work, but you know, it does need some rust repair. There's down here in the battery tray area, the rockers inner outer. It's gonna have some floor issues, I'm sure. He's got some metal here that he started collecting. Actually, it looks like the floors maybe already had somebody kind of scabbed in a section of floor. But, you know, it's all in all, I mean, by today's standards, it's a decent little project. Pretty complete. And you see guys these days putting stuff a lot worse off than this back together. It's got a set of Safari windows in it, little roof rack. So this was how I got to end my day. I got to end my day going and picking up a split window bus. It didn't cost me a dime because, like I say, well, next time you're on Facebook Live. Anyways, so that's it, guys. That's how my day went today. Started out kind of rough. I'm gonna put the old Uncle Skeeter's tow truck away for the night, and we're going to, I guess, tear the TDI back down, prep it, so if I can get some paint for tomorrow, we'll shoot it again. I hope you guys are having a better day than I had today at the Volkswear garage. Appreciate you guys watching, and we will